happy. That's all I did. I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast, where it's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. We're covering AEW Dynamite. My name is James Gisanti, and I'm joined by no one, because everyone else had a life tonight. This is my life. You guys are my life. And I'm not sad about it. It's the right thing. But anyway, tonight's Dynamite was action-packed. This was a truly step above episode of Dynamite, in my opinion. Something a little bit better than we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And as you guys know, I've been liking what I've been watching the last few weeks on AEW. I think they've been delivering. For a while now, things have felt relatively consistent. There necessarily hasn't been a shining moment or a standout moment. But tonight, there were some highlights. There were some bright, shining moments tonight on Dynamite tonight. I'm very excited to get into them with you. Rev, sorry I couldn't be there for you said on the comments. I appreciate it, pal. I know you're not feeling well. It's okay. Get well soon. Internet is starting to crap out on me already, and that's scary, but we'll make do. Regardless, let's get into the heat of things. Let's start with a bang, as AEW did tonight, which was they started with what could have been the main event. Oh, God, am I frozen? Producer boy, put something up in the meantime. There you go. All right, so we started with technical difficulties, everybody. My bad, but I'm here. We started with what could have been the main event of tonight's show if it wasn't for the fact that tonight's main event was epic and not something you want to put anywhere else but the top of the card. But we started off with Swerve Strickland taking on Hangman Adam Page for the #1 contender spot to face Samoa Joe at the next AEW pay-per-view. As you guys know, this was Swerve Hangman 3. We've already seen this match a couple of times now on pay-per-view, and some of us, myself included, were a little skeptical about whether or not it was a good idea to push forward with the third match in the trilogy so soon. We kind of predicted the outcome, but it wasn't what we got, it's how we got there. This was an incredible match, as we knew it would be. These two men killed each other. They were violent. They were dangerous. They were destructive. They did everything they can to become the #1 contender. Well, at least one of the two men did. Swerve's goal has been clear. He has been loud and he has been proud. He is going for the AEW World title. Hangman's motivations are a little more complicated, though. It's not so much that he really cares about becoming the AEW champion. It's more so he doesn't want Swerve to become AEW champion. I think that's pretty impressive. I think it's a very different version of Hangman. This isn't a guy who's worrying about himself. This isn't a guy who's worrying about his rise. This isn't a guy who's worried about his placement. This is a guy who is full of anger, full of vengeance, and cares more about sabotaging someone else than getting something for himself. That never even happened with Kenny. And granted, the emotion and the personal vile intensity between these two guys is definitely different. But it's fascinating to see a different facet of Hangman. This match had it all. We saw table spots. We saw fighting on the outside. These men were using each other's finishes. They were countering. They were kicking out of stuff. At one point, Swerve hit his own buckshot lariat, as producer boy put up in the tweets a second ago. These guys have developed such a rapport and they know each other so well now that they delivered a truly unique third match in this so far trilogy. I don't know it's going to stay a trilogy. We might get a fourth one-on-one down the line, but moving forward to the pay-per-view, like I said, that was a brutal spot. Looking at that dead eye through the table that producer boy is putting up in the tweets. just absolutely vicious between Swerve and Hangman. I was really surprised to see how much they were going at it and just what they brought through their arsenals. Like I said, they know each other so well. Their rapport is so strong that these guys are able to use each other's moves in a very convincing manner. Again, we've compared this feud to Rock Austin in the past. I remember Austin hitting lots of rock bottoms. I remember Rock hitting stunners in the past. That's what it feels like here. So great matchup between the two as we were counting down to the wire. This match went a while, guys. So long that it in fact went to a half-hour time limit draw. Again, we kind of knew that was coming. We kind of suspected that was coming, but it wasn't so much what we got, but how we got there. As Swerve was about to pin Hangman, he was in the middle of the 1, 2, 3 when the bell rang prematurely and we didn't get a proper finish. Great point by Rev in the comments. Kenny and Okada stole each other's moves a bunch too. I compared this feud to that feud as well in the last couple of weeks. Great eye and great memory for that, Rev. But as Swerve is going for the 1, 2, 3 and about to get his pin and win his ticket to the #1 contender spot at the pay-per-view against Samoa Joe for the AEW World title, the bell rang. You see Swerve devastated and confused. And he gets on the mic and he says, no, we're not doing it this way. Hangman, 5 more minutes. And Hangman gets a mic, the babyface, the hero that Hangman is, and he starts laughing, guys. Hangman started laughing. Hangman says, I'm not here for anything. I had one goal, and that goal was to make sure you didn't become the #1 contender for the world title, and you didn't. You didn't beat me. And then he leaves. Guys, I was blown away by this. I know Hangman has every right to hate Swerve, but this was such an unbabyface move on his part. I was shocked. I don't know if we're in line for a double turn that we're going to get Hangman the heel and Swerve the babyface, but Swerve wanted to keep fighting and he wanted to earn his spot, and Hangman wanted to take, in this case, the easy way out. I am enthralled by this storyline. I think they're delivering so many different wins with this feud. Got to acknowledge this tweet. Prince Nana really danced the energy into Swerve to beat the 10 count. Nana, look, last week I said I was kind of glad Nana didn't show up for Swerve's match. He fit his role here really well, and I was happy to see him. He killed it. Rev in the comments saying Hangman growing that mustache at the same time as the Jacksons was a dead giveaway. Yeah. Honestly, it's going to be really interesting to see if the Elite align once again. We'll get more into the rest of the Elite later, but very good point. Yes, we see a tweet on the outside of Swerve doing a crazy dive to Hangman. Just, these guys are laying it all out in this feud. They have been since match 1. They upped the ante in match 2. And I'm pleased to say match 3 lived up to the hype. It is a worthy trilogy so far. So after telling Swerve that he wasn't going to grant him the extra 5 minutes and he succeeded what he wanted, Swerve did not get his #1 contender spot. Tony Schiavone is handed a microphone and delivers a message from Tony Khan. Both men are now the #1 contenders, and it will be a triple threat for the AEW World Championship against Samoa Joe at the pay-per-view. Swerve was loving it, and Hangman was hating it. He failed his mission to make sure Swerve does not get to the world title. Guys, I think this is really compelling stuff. These two characters are rocketing towards very different places than where I expected them to be. And it's feeling very earned. It's feeling very natural. I am all for it. I am so excited to see what the next step in Hangman's evolution, this multi-year evolution in AEW will be. And I am super excited to see Swerve's ascent to the top. Great stuff. Great way to start the show. We were a little confused by it on the pod why this match was starting, but it made total sense. Again, especially considering the main event being what it was. Great matchup, guys. Great matchup. We then move on to a backstage bit where AEW World Champion Samoa Joe is reacting to the announcement. He says this marks a celebration in mediocrity. Joe says the powers that be don't want him to be the champion, but it's not their choice. Joe vows to leave AEW Revolution with the gold around his waist. I don't know who's winning. It is too hard to make a real prediction at this point. Fascinated by what's going to come next for all three of these men. What was once to me a guarantee that Swerve was going to walk out with this title, I'm not so confident anymore. I am really, really interested to see who is going to walk out of Revolution as the world champion. If you guys have any guesses, if you have any predictions of your own, leave them in the comments. I want to know who you think will walk out as the AEW world champion at Revolution. Moving on, we go to an AEW Women's World Title Eliminator as world champion, Timeless Toni Storm, defends, fights off, whatever, Red Velvet. And this time, in a little bit of a switch, Deonna Purrazzo is on commentary as opposed to Toni, doing it the other way around. I thought this was a nice little switch, a nice little change up for things, and a good way to get Deonna to be a little more familiar with the audience. So great work, great booking on this part. I thought the match was fine, not a real lot to report. I don't want to say it was a dominant showing by Toni Storm, but she more or less controlled the match. Velvet did rally a little bit towards the end, but Toni eventually hits her with the hip attack and then traps her in an ankle lock, what I thought was a brutal looking ankle lock to make Red Velvet tap out. Wasn't expecting a tap out victory. Wasn't expecting a, I don't know why. Yikes. Did I do something? Is it because it's just me, JL? I have missed you too, pal. I don't know who Sid is. Are we talking like Toy Story Sid? I don't know. Rev saying this was a tough spot for the women here following the first match, but at least it wasn't the time slot of death. That is a great point. That is a great point. Look, I don't think there is going to be a loser in this feud. Timeless Toni Storm is absolutely killing it and is continuing to prove to be one of the most entertaining things in all of wrestling. I mean, yikes for the kiss they did. Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you, JL. Happy to have you here, pal. And Deonna Purrazzo has immediately come in feeling like a major deal in this division. She feels like someone who is worth being champion, and not everybody who's come in, although they've all come into a lot of buzz, has had that same gravitas. So I think this feud is doing wonders for both women involved. They're making everybody feel important and everybody feel viable. Great way to move forward with this women's division that is continuing to better itself and continuing to feel more important. Moving on, we had a backstage segment where AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy is alongside Trent Beretta and his friend Rocky Romero as they're being interviewed by Renee Paquette. They talk about the fact that Orange is going to be defending against Ishii on, I believe, Collision. And Trent said that's weird. They asked when asked about an update on their other friend, their other best friend, Chuck Taylor, Orange says Chuck is getting checked on, so they will go see him. That might be an important tool for later. Just keep that in mind. We then go into what was another highly touted match for this week as the CMLL Stars of Mexico take on the BCC, the Blackpool Combat Club, configured of Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli. No Wheeler Yuta in sight. They were taking on, and I apologize, guys, I'm going to do my best. I'm not too familiar with these guys, so if I butcher the translation, tell me in the comments. Máscaa Dorada, Volador Jr., and Hechicero. Hechicero being Bryan Danielson's opponent from Collision last Saturday, who had a banger from what I'm hearing. So go check that out on Dynamite. Renee also had them bring it in. Best part of the segment. Yeah, that was a good bit. Renee's just the best. She knows what she's doing, and she's the best I've ever seen in that backstage role. But getting back to the matchup, this was a good bout. You know, it had the typical lucha style mixed in with some very hard-hitting striking from the Blackpool Combat Club. There was good submissions. There was a lot of back and forth. My only complaint about it was that some of the timing for the extra men, the outside men getting involved took a little too long in certain instances. Some things were a little sloppy, but the things that hit were sharp, they were crisp, and they made the Blackpool Combat Club look great. In the end, it's Claudio who gets the win after hitting a low blow and then pinning Hechicero, who kind of went against all three members of the Blackpool Combat Club by himself. Let's see. All right, we got one from Rev. Hechicero. Okay, Hechicero. Thank you. I'm not too familiar with the CMLL guys, so I'm going to do my best to make sure I get it down packed for later. But yes, we did get a heel win for the Blackpool Combat Club, which shouldn't be shocking, despite the fact that Blackpool Combat Club doesn't really know what they are right now. They're getting a lot of love from the audience. They're kind of playing into it. They're not afraid to like riff with the audience in a good way, but they will cheat to win. So let's see. I don't know what they are, but I'm going to cheer for them because I love all of them. But afterwards, as they're celebrating their win very briefly in the ring, they are surrounded by even more CMLL stars. We have Mystico, Star Jr., and at least one or two other luchadors who I couldn't name. I apologize. They hop the barricade to try and confront the Blackpool Combat Club, who are saved by the same team of AEW misfits from last week. Daddy Magic, Cool Hand Ange. I didn't see who the other two were. I'm sorry. Christopher Daniels. And again, there was one, Matt Seidel, I'm going to go out on a limb and say. Not exactly the cavalry I'd be looking for, but sometimes you just need the numbers. And where was Wheeler Yuta? I mentioned him before. Where was Wheeler Yuta during this bit? I don't know. But again, strong showing for the Blackpool Combat Club, despite needing to cheat in the end to get the win. I guess this does kind of protect the CMLL guys. I don't know if we're looking at an invasion. I don't know if we're building towards an AEW showing in the next CMLL event down in Mexico. But either way, this is clearly a relationship that isn't going to end anytime soon, I should say. We then go backstage. Again, remember that helpful tool from before? The Undisputed Kingdom is attacking Chuck Taylor backstage. Chuck Taylor, who's been injured and off for a while now. I think there is a disgusting irony to the fact that they're attacking an injured guy, being led by an injured guy in Adam Cole. I don't know what the angle is here. I know they're building towards this match with Orange and Roderick, but this group has lost so much steam. It's nobody's fault. It's injuries. That's life. But man, this is a bummer. The hype I've had for them has just dissipated entirely. Moving on to what was the highly touted big announcement from Tony Khan on AEW Dynamite regarding who knows. Tony Khan backstage confirms that AEW is returning to Boston on March 13th, and it will be a very important night for AEW and all of wrestling, as that episode of Dynamite will be referred to as Big Business. In the background on the building, it said Boston, but instead of the regular BOSTON, it's BO $TON. We are very clearly heading full steam ahead for Mercedes Moné. Guys, we have been waiting for this for a long time. We have been waiting. Where was Mercedes going to land? Who is she going to sign with? What was she going to do next? I think we have our answer. The last time AEW made a big deal about a signing like this and teased it the way they did was CM Punk in Chicago for the First Dance. This feels just as big. This feels just as important, or is at least being treated with the same level of respect that Punk debut did. So hats off to Tony Khan for making this feel like a big deal. I know Tony is known to be the boy who cries wolf. He is known to big announce a lot of things. This truly does feel like if we get Mercedes in Boston, worthy of the hype. Looking at this tweet from Sean Ross Sapp, Mercedes Moné is headed to AEW and has been on their payroll for a while. Fightful Select and Andrew Zarian have learned a lot more. How long the deal has been done, things that could have held it up, the WWE element, and her future in Japan. Very exciting stuff that I cannot wait to get into. I cannot wait to read the reports and find out all the details. But this is a huge, huge grab for AEW. This is a big pull for them. They're, as I said earlier when talking about Deonna and Toni Storm, their women's division is heating up. They're being given more TV time. There are some really big grabs so far in the company now with Deonna and potentially Mercedes joining. It really feels like the women's division is being treated with the respect that it hasn't for a very long time. So give them more. Let Mercedes be the crown jewel of your division. I say that as a huge Deonna Purrazzo fan. I say that as a huge Timeless Toni Storm fan. Despite what they're doing, despite how great they're doing, strap a rocket to Mercedes and make her the face of your division. At the very least, have her go for the TBS title sooner than later. Fightful is reporting that Mercedes will still be allowed to wrestle in New Japan. That doesn't shock me. AEW and New Japan's relationship has been very solid. They have maintained their respect. And quite frankly, they're probably AEW's biggest ally left at this point. Looking at this tweet from Mercedes Moné, I remember when they couldn't pay the rent. Now I own the whole building that I'm living in. I feel like if these are lyrics to something, I'm not going to do it justice, but I'll just say, sky's the limit when you're never giving in. You get in, you ride it out, and don't look back again. Musically, you guys know I'm not the guy. I'm not that guy. But very interested to see where they go forward with Mercedes. Like I said, star, very least, immediately win the TBS title. At most, go straight for the AEW Women's World title. Deal with the ramifications of the others, the fallout of the others, however you have to. It's worth it when it comes to Mercedes. That's how big a deal this is. Mercedes Moné, knowing she is the big business. This is a game changer. This is a game changer. This is quite possibly, if not the top free agent out there right now, a top 3 free agent. I think the only other names really are Okada, and I don't know. That's how big this is, guys. This is huge. This is a huge loss for anyone else who couldn't sign her, whether it was WWE, whether it was TNA, whether it was Stardom, whoever. This is huge, very exciting stuff. So very much looking forward to March 13th. That's going to be a great show. Moving on to... It's February 7th, guys. Groundhog Day was less than a week ago, but it still feels like I'm living it because here we are once again with Chris Jericho versus Konosuke Takeshita. Was the match good? Yes. Was it very similar to the match they had in DDT in Japan? Yes. Big difference. Takeshita got his singles win over Jericho as opposed to Jericho getting the singles win like he did in Japan. Yep, producer boy puts a tweet up, so I'll talk about it. Takeshita getting the win, making Chris Jericho tap out to the walls of Jericho after a lot of interference, a screwdriver to the head from Don Callis, interference from Powerhouse Hobbs, an appearance from Sammy Guevara. A lot went into this match. The same stuff we're used to every time the Don Callis family wrestles a match, rather particularly against any Canadian named Kenny or Chris. I just move on, please. They won. Takeshita won. It's huge. He got a big win. Let him move on to something else. Let him win a title from someone else. I don't want to do this anymore. Please. Please. I'm done. Oh God, it's truly the ride that doesn't end. Yes, we have this tweet from producer boy that I'm never mind. AEW without Don Callis, Chris Jericho, and Ric Flair, and it's Homer Simpson looking at a donut. Yes, a magical floating donut. But yeah, I'm done. And I will say I wasn't crazy about the finish. It's not that I hate that Takeshita made Jericho tap out. It's that they were clearly setting up for what is now being established as the 3-arm drop submission win, similar to how Samoa Joe won the AEW World title from MJF by making him pass out. Jericho had his arm dropped twice as it was going for the third one. He lifts it, looks like he's going to power out of it, only to tap out. I would have just had him pass out or just make him tap from the get-go. It just felt like we got the same thing with extra steps. Not exactly what I would have gone for. Didn't ruin the match by any stretch, but it is what it is. We then have a tweet here. If y'all don't get Takeshita from up out of the Chris Jericho black hole and Eddie Kingston being Eddie Kingston, I agree. Takeshita is too good. Takeshita is too good. And I saw something today. I saw an interesting tweet today that I don't think I'd be able to find, or it might have been a Reddit comment. I don't know. Takeshita is a good reason why AEW is probably going to get Okada. Fans are clamoring for Takeshita to be pushed into the main event and to be given more good things because they recognize his talent and they recognize how good a prospect he is, as opposed to WWE and how they've treated their Japanese stars that have come over, whether that's Nakamura or how they're treating people like Tozawa today. There's a big glaring difference. And granted, Okada is not Tozawa. You know, he's not even Nakamura. He is a step above. He is the Rainmaker. But look how much AEW has turned Takeshita into a star. Granted, they're booking him terribly right now because of this prolonged Chris Jericho feud, but he wins the majority of the things he does, and fans are super behind him. I could see that being very alluring for someone like Okada. All right, I'm going to look at this. This tweet. If everything goes as expected, Takeshita versus Okada is in play. I don't know who that tweet is. I don't want to. I don't know how reputable that is, or if that's just somebody saying it. But yes, I would kill to see Okada versus Takeshita. That would be a banger of a match. I think we're at a matter of when, not if, when it comes to Okada coming to AEW. But who knows? This last week, this last month and a half has proven to me I don't know anything anymore. Nothing is as what it seems. So quite the time to be a wrestling fan and quite the time to feel like my head is in the clouds. But moving on from this match and hopefully moving on from this feud, we then had our main event. I don't think there was anything I missed. Did I miss anything, Producer Boy, in between this? Or Rev, can you confirm to me? Did I miss anything? I don't think so. So we're going to move into the main event as we have the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line as Big Bill and Ricky Starks defend against Darby Allin and Sting. Take that, Shivani. This was everything we knew it was going to be. This was everything that was fun about Sting's run in general. These guys brought it. These guys delivered a main event worthy of my TV time, worthy of my attention, and no one should be surprised. Sting's entire AEW run has been about making the fans happy and making sure we had a great experience, and that's what this match delivered. Darby Allin, Sting, taking it to the crowd, fighting in the audience, Sting doing his trademark at this point, Sting splash from the crowd down a couple of like a stairway onto Big Bill and Ricky Starks. All four of these men blew out what should be the remainder of their careers, making sure Sting only has a few weeks left, but let's see if he makes it there at the rate they're going. Great stuff from all the men involved. My favorite spot of the night involving Big Bill and Darby Allin. As Darby we're looking at this tweet now as Darby, Ricky Starks, and Big Bill are fighting in the little hallway as Sting dives from the audience, probably 15 feet onto them, 10 feet maybe. 10 feet. Either way, great spot. But my favorite spot of the night, Darby Allin, Big Bill, Darby going for a tope suicida through the ropes, getting caught by Big Bill into one of the most brutal sidewalk slams I've ever seen. I have been singing Big Bill's praises for a long time now in AEW. I was watching him as he was reinventing himself in Impact TNA as W. Morrissey. And I was disappointed when that success, him being a monster or treated as a monster the way he was in TNA, didn't really, this is that spot here on Twitter, just absolutely brutal, catching Darby midair and hitting him with that boss man slam to the outside. Great stuff. I don't know how Darby can walk. I don't know how he has bones at this point. I really don't get it. But absolutely great stuff. But as I was saying, I was a little disappointed when Big Bill didn't get the treatment that he was getting in TNA here in AEW. Of course, there was the dreaded Firm storyline and faction that didn't work out for anybody. His tag team with I don't even remember who he was teaming with. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments, but it was somebody from the Firm. Now he's finally found his groove again. This tag team with Ricky Starks, which was never going to last forever, has really helped elevate Big Bill, in my opinion, and has helped keep Ricky Starks relevant too. In a very crowded division, in a very crowded men's roster, Ricky Starks found something to do in this tag team division with Big Bill, and they made true sweet lemonade out of those lemons of not really doing anything prior. Rev in the comments saying Lee Moriarty, he thinks. I think that's right. I think it was Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. But the finish coming after Darby Allin taking Big Bill out to the outside through a table, which was quite frankly terrifying. I could have swore Big Bill went head first into the floor through that table. But by all accounts, he did walk out on his own. Everyone seems fine. And then Sting hitting the Scorpion Death Drop onto Ricky Starks, pitting him for the 1, for the 2, for the 3, for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Sting and Darby Allin are your new champions. Guys, it was a beautiful moment. Confetti came down. Sting and Darby Allin celebrating in the ring. Sting's sons coming into the ring and having a beautiful moment celebrating with their father. Sting's first and what will likely be, certainly be, his only championship in AEW. Just a truly beautiful moment that was absolutely ruined by this. I don't know if we'll show it, but we heard it for a second there. Being ruined by Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, formerly known as the Young Bucks. Matt and Nick coming out into the ring with metal bats, taking out all 4 men. Yep, that's right. Sting, Darby, and Sting's 2 sons. Sting and Darby getting absolutely busted open, bloody messes. Darby bleeding all over Matthew and Nicholas Jackson's all white attires. Sting doing the same. Great imagery as we're getting closer to the pay-per-view and what will be Sting's retirement match, as he and Darby are likely to defend against Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, formerly the Young Bucks. Guys, I've seen a lot of people not get why it's the Bucks. I've seen a lot of people disappointed that Sting's last match is against the Bucks. We got to go over certain things here. Sting made it very clear he wanted his retirement match to be a tag team match. He didn't want a singles match. And considering his entire run in AEW has been tag team matches, that makes sense. So even though I was one of the people who wanted Sting versus Darby Allin, I get why Sting went this way. And if we're going to do a tag team match, there is no bigger tag team in AEW than the Young Bucks. You might not like them. You might not want them. You might not value them. You might think they're the worst things in AEW. But guess what? You're talking about the Young Bucks. There is no other team that in AEW that generates as much buzz as the Bucks. Also, most importantly, they're one of the few teams Darby and Sting haven't wrestled a traditional 2-on-2 tag team match against. I've seen some people say it should have been against FTR. I've seen some people say maybe House of Black. All those would have been great matches. And guess what? They already were. We've seen them before. The only time we've seen Sting and Darby take on the Bucks was in a 6-man tag trios match, as they were teaming up with Shingo Takagi against the Bucks and El Phantasmo. This is This is going to be the only time we get this matchup. And Sting personally picked the Bucks. That's another very important thing. Great tweet here. Listen, I've had my issues with the Young Bucks work, but putting white suits on because they knew they're doing a blood angle is the biz. Completely agree. Rev in the comments as well, saying the blood looked so sick on the white suits. Like I'm saying, that was iconic imagery. And more importantly, this beatdown sold why the Bucks were the right choice here. They are at their best when they are unforgivable, disgusting heels. They are so good at generating hatred, at generating heat, that if there is no team that I'd rather see the perennial babyface, the ultimate babyface, Sting himself, the icon, take on than these shitty little cowardly heels, the Young Bucks. Perfect matchup, in my opinion, if these were the parameters that we were given. I don't know if Sting is going to retire as a tag team champion and surrender that belt. I don't know if the Bucks are going to break our hearts and give Sting his first and only loss in AEW. But either way, I was already emotionally invested in this match, and now I'm even more emotionally invested in this match. I am going to be watching that pay-per-view, eyes glued to the TV, and just praying that the Stinger goes out with one last bang. And I'm sure he will. Rev in the comments saying Sting had full power over who retired him. He's not doing anything he doesn't want to do. Absolutely. If you don't like Sting's choice, say it to Sting. If I'm the Young Bucks, who are supposed to have been gone even longer, but came back earlier because Sting requested them for this final matchup, am I going to say no? No. So now we have the ultimate heel team that everybody loves to hate taking on the babyface of babyfaces, Sting, in his retirement match. I can't think of a better opponent, guys. I really can't. We have a tweet. These two are wrestling soulmates, and that's Swerve and Hangman. I completely agree. These guys have chemistry unlike any other rivalry I can really think of in recent times. Maybe Okada, Omega, maybe Bryan, Moxley. I don't know. These guys just got it. But that was Dynamite, guys. I think it was a great show. Has done wonders to build hype moving forward into Revolution, which is very soon. It's March 3rd, and we're halfway through February already. We're inching closer to Sting's retirement. We're inching closer to what will be an excellent main event in the triple threat for the AEW World title with Swerve, Hangman, and Samoa Joe. And we're inching closer to March 13th, as we may likely get Mercedes Moné in AEW. Some comments from, yes, great point about the main event. Thank you for bringing that up, Rev. So many EVP triggers. Yes. The BTE trigger is no more. It is now known as the EVP trigger. Great way to transition that over. Great stuff. And Rev also saying EVP Jacksons with the titles is going to be so much fun. I'm going to love to hate them. I am going to love to hate them. And if you don't get that, if you don't want that, I don't know what to tell you guys. They're doing their jobs very well. If you think they're dorks, if you think they're abusing their power, that's exactly what they're going for. You're feeding into it. So get worked. I don't know what to tell you. Eric, I saw your comment before closing out. Talk about the TNA news. I was going to do this tomorrow in a separate video, but I guess we could just clip it now. TNA president Scott D'Amore has unfortunately been let go by TNA, by their parent company, Anthem. Anthem, having released the longtime TNA name, has been with the company since 2003, has been the figurehead, the flag bearer of the rebrand for TNA, and is, in my and several other fans' opinions, the man who has brought TNA not only back to relevance, but brought them back to prosperity. When everyone else was giving up on this company, Scott D'Amore, the president, was the man making sure that the heart kept beating in Impact and now TNA. A lot of fans not very happy about this. Supposedly, there was a talent meeting that happened earlier today where they were informed of Scott's departure from the company, but they were told that Scott stepped down when that wasn't the case. He was let go. The new president, I don't have his name at the top of my head. I'm sure Producer Boy can pull it up. Is a representative from Anthem. Anthem being the parent company that owns TNA, a network company. They own several TV stations. They own several entertainment businesses, and they basically owned. It's Anthony Ciccione, who is the new TNA wrestling president. Guys, this, quite frankly, this reeks of corporate synergy. A lot of people are worried about what this means. I am obviously going to be cautiously optimistic. We have a tweet here from TNA Knockouts champion Jordan Grace calling Scott D'Amore the heart and soul of TNA and irreplaceable. Several TNA talents have come out about how upset they are about this, whether it's Jordan Grace, the Knockouts champion, or the AEW world champion himself, Moose. Many talents have come out in support of Scott D'Amore. This tweet, Scott D'Amore was the guy who kept TNA alive for a long time. WWE would have bought that video library if it wasn't for him turning it around with a minimal budget. We don't know why he's fired, but it is the worst thing that could have happened to TNA wrestling at this time. Quite frankly, I'm struggling to disagree with that assessment. TNA has just built up a lot of goodwill over this last month and a half. The rebrand, all the hard work they've put in, the crossover with WWE at the Royal Rumble, TNA was generating buzz. Oh my God. AEW World Tag Team Championship is the first title Sting has won in 13 years. The last title he held was the TNA Heavyweight Championship in July 2011. Oh God. Don't say Victory Road. Anyway, I am sad to see Scott go. I am going to be following this story as I continue to follow TNA. But this is news that has shocked the TNA world, the fan base, the wrestlers. Wrestlers aren't happy. Fans aren't happy. Lots of people very confused, very shocked by this sudden change in leadership. Time will tell if this is for the best. I've seen some concern that maybe this is something to do with trying to partner up with WWE a little bit more. I think that's just blind speculation. But overall, very shocking stuff. That tweet saying Sting winning his first tag team championship in 17 years, where he teamed up with Kurt Angle to capture gold in TNA. Kind of crazy. But that is the world of wrestling today, guys. This Wednesday, February 7th. I very much enjoyed Dynamite. I'm very much not only looking forward to next week, but getting even closer to Revolution, which will be March 3rd. In terms of TNA, I am heartbroken right now, but I will be eagerly watching these next few weeks to see what this means for the future of the company. Rev saying in the comments, let James leave and have Danny run the show down again by himself. I'm good. I think Danny's probably long asleep at this point. But guys, I'm James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast. You know the drill. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you want to keep following us, if you want to keep staying tuned to our videos, subscribe. We go live at this point what feels like every day of the week now. If you like WWE, we cover it. If you like AEW, we cover it. If you like TNA, we cover it. Who knows what else we might be covering in the future? We do our best to go international as well. We will be covering the WWE press conference tomorrow, hyping up WrestleMania. Very excited to see what's going on there. And of course, if you want to get to know us on a more personal level, check out those socials. We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got TikTok, we've got X, we've got them all. And we have a pretty new link tree to display them all. So once again, I'm James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast. Remember to watch wrestling, and I'll catch you guys later. Producer boy, take us home.